She was his mistake, until she became his greatest regret. Part 1, The Rejection. The night everything changed. The full moon hung heavy in the sky, casting silver light across the ceremony grounds. I stood in the center of the pack circle, my heart pounding so hard I thought everyone could hear it. Tonight was supposed to be the happiest night of my life. Tonight, Alpha Drake would officially accept our mate bond in front of the entire Shadow Peak pack. I wore a simple white dress that my best friend Lena had helped me pick out. Nothing fancy, because I wasn't fancy. I was just Mira Stone, an ordinary pack member with no special rank, no powerful family, just me. But I had something no one else had. I was Drake's fated mate. The moon goddess herself had chosen us for each other. Mira looked so happy, I heard someone whisper behind me. Poor thing has no idea, another voice responded. I should have paid attention to those words. Should have heard the warning in them. But I was too lost in my own dreams, too focused on the tall, handsome man walking toward me through the crowd. Drake Mitchell was everything an alpha should be. Strong, commanding, with dark hair and eyes that could freeze you with a single look. When we'd discovered our bond 6 months ago, I thought I'd found my forever. He'd been kind to me, spent time with me, made me believe I mattered. But as he stopped in front of me, I noticed something wrong. His eyes wouldn't meet mine. His jaw was clenched tight, and his hands were fisted at his sides. Drake? I whispered, reaching for him. He stepped back. The public humiliation. The crowd fell silent. You could have heard a pin drop in that moment. My hand hung in the air between us, trembling now with confusion and the first stirrings of fear. I can't do this, Drake said, his voice loud enough for everyone to hear. What do you mean? My voice came out small, broken already. I, Alpha Drake Mitchell of the Shadow Peak Pack, reject you, Mira Stone, as my mate and my Luna. The words hit me like physical blows. I actually staggered backward, my hand clutching my chest where the bond was tearing apart. It felt like someone had reached inside me and was ripping out my heart piece by piece. No, I gasped. Drake, please, why? Because you're not strong enough, he said, and his voice was cold now, emotionless. You have no rank, no power, no family connections. You can't give this pack what it needs. Tears were streaming down my face now, but I couldn't look away from him. But we're fated mates. The moon goddess chose us. The moon goddess made a mistake. Those words would haunt me forever. The idea that even the divine powers that ruled our world had messed up when it came to me. That I was so worthless, even destiny had gotten it wrong. I choose a different mate, Drake continued, and he turned to gesture someone forward. She emerged from the crowd like a vision. Tall, beautiful, with flowing red hair and a dress that probably cost more than everything I owned. Celine Blackthorn, daughter of the Alpha from the Crimson Claw pack. One of the most powerful packs in the region. She walked up to Drake and took his hand, smiling at him with perfect confidence. Then she looked at me, and there was nothing but contempt in her green eyes. No hard feelings, she said sweetly. But he needs a real Luna, not a weak little nobody. The breaking point. The pack erupted in whispers. Some looked at me with pity, others with satisfaction. A few seemed uncomfortable, but no one spoke up for me. No one defended me. Not even Lena, who I saw standing in the back, her eyes full of tears but her mouth firmly closed. I wanted to scream. Wanted to fight. Wanted to make Drake see that he was making a terrible mistake. But the pain of the broken bond was overwhelming. It was like every nerve ending in my body was on fire, like my wolf was dying inside me. I'm sorry, Mira, Drake said, but he didn't sound sorry. He sounded relieved. You'll find someone else eventually. Someone more your level. My level. Like I was some kind of low-quality product that needed to be marked down. You have until tomorrow to leave pack territory, he added. I'm being generous by giving you that much time. Generous. He thought destroying my entire life and then kicking me out with nothing was generous. I wanted to say something powerful, something that would make him regret this moment. But all I could do was nod and turn away, walking through the crowd with my head down as everyone stared and whispered. The walk back to my small cabin felt like it took hours instead of minutes. The lonely departure. I packed in the dark, throwing my few belongings into a worn backpack. Clothes, some food, a photo of my parents who had died when I was young, and a small amount of money I'd saved. That was it. My entire life fit into one bag. My wolf, Luna, was silent inside me. Normally she was my constant companion, my voice of strength when I felt weak. But the broken mate bond had hurt her as badly as it had hurt me. Maybe worse. "I'm so sorry, Luna," I whispered into the darkness. "I'm sorry I wasn't enough." She stirred slightly, a faint warmth in my mind. "It wasn't your fault," she whispered back, her voice weak and pained. "He's a fool." But her words didn't comfort me. Because if I wasn't enough for my fated mate, the one person in the world who was supposed to love me unconditionally, then what did that say about me? I left before dawn, slipping out of the packed territory while everyone slept. I couldn't face another round of pitying looks or satisfied smirks. The forest swallowed me up, dark and quiet, and I walked with no destination in mind. I just needed to get away, to put distance between myself and the pack that had rejected me. Hours passed. The sun rose and set again. I walked until my feet bled, until exhaustion made every step agony. I had no plan, no future, no hope. I was just existing, moving forward because stopping meant thinking, and thinking meant feeling, and feeling was too painful to bear. The stranger in the woods. It was late on my second night of wandering when I heard it. A low groan of pain coming from somewhere off the path. My first instinct was to ignore it and keep walking. I had my own problems. I didn't need anyone else's. But something made me stop. Maybe it was the healer instinct that I'd always had, the urge to help others even when it cost me. Or maybe I was just so numb that investigating seemed as good as anything else. I followed the sound through the trees until I found him. A man lying in a small clearing, his clothes torn and bloody, his breathing shallow and labored. He looked a few years older than me, maybe 30, with dark blonde hair and a face that would have been handsome if it wasn't twisted in pain. "Help," he gasped when he saw me, reaching out with one hand. "Please." I should have kept walking. Should have protected myself instead of risking my safety for a stranger. But I'd spent my whole life being invisible, being overlooked, being told I wasn't enough. Maybe helping this man was a way to prove, at least to myself, that I had value. I knelt beside him, my hands already moving to assess his injuries. 3 deep claw marks across his chest, still bleeding freely. A broken leg. Signs of silver poisoning, which meant whatever had attacked him had used silver weapons. "Who did this to you?" I asked, tearing strips from my shirt to make bandages. "Rogues," he managed to say between gasps of pain. "They ambushed me. Took everything. Left me to die." Rogues were wolves without packs, often dangerous and unpredictable. They roamed the unclaimed territories, and they were ruthless. If they'd left this man alive, it was probably because they thought he was already dying. They might have been right. The silver poisoning was severe, and without proper medical care, he'd be dead by morning. The discovery of hidden power. "I need to get the silver out of your wounds," I told him, forcing my voice to stay calm even though my hands were shaking. "It's going to hurt." "Do it," he said through gritted teeth. I'd learned basic healing from the pack healer back home. Not because I had any special talent, or so I'd thought, but because I liked helping people. Now I put that knowledge to work, carefully cleaning his wounds and searching for silver fragments. My hands touched the worst of the claw marks, and something strange happened. A warm, golden light began to glow from my palms, soft at first but growing brighter. The man's eyes widened in shock, but I was too focused to stop and wonder what was happening. The light flowed from me into him, and I watched in amazement as his wounds began to close. Not completely, but enough that he stopped bleeding. The gray tint of silver poisoning faded from his skin, replaced by healthy color. "How are you doing that?" he whispered, staring at me like I was a miracle. "I don't know," I admitted, pulling my hands back. The golden light faded, leaving me exhausted but strangely satisfied. "I've never done that before." "You're a healer," he said, struggling to sit up. "Not just any healer. That light, that power. You're a moon healer." "A what?" "Moon healers are incredibly rare," he explained, wincing as he moved his injured leg. "Maybe one born in every 1,000 wolves. They have the power to heal almost any wound, cure any poison. They're considered blessed by the moon goddess herself." I laughed, but it was a bitter sound. "The moon goddess doesn't bless people like me. She makes mistakes with people like me." His eyes sharpened with interest. "Who told you that?" "My mate." The word tasted like poison in my mouth. "My former mate, I mean. He rejected me 3 days ago. Said I wasn't strong enough, wasn't good enough. Said the moon goddess made a mistake pairing us." The stranger was quiet for a moment, studying me with an intensity that made me uncomfortable. "What's your name?" "Mira." "Mira Stone." "Well, Mira Stone, my name is Cale Winters. And I think your former mate is the biggest fool I've ever heard of." The offer of something more. Cale explained that he was a beta from the Moonshadow Pack, a pack I'd heard of but never visited. They lived in the Northern Territories, far from Shadow Peak. He'd been traveling on pack business when the rogues attacked. "Come with me," he said after I'd helped him create a splint for his leg. "My pack would welcome a moon healer with open arms. We could give you a home, a purpose, training to help you develop your abilities." "I don't need charity," I said quietly. "It's not charity. Moon healers are treasured. You have a gift, Mira. A real gift. With proper training, you could save lives, cure diseases that would kill normal wolves. You could be important." Important. The word echoed in my mind. I'd spent my whole life being unimportant, invisible, not enough. And here was this stranger telling me I could be something more. "Why should I trust you?" I asked. "I don't know you. This could be a trap." "You're right to be cautious," Cale agreed. "I could be lying about everything. But you saved my life tonight when you had no reason to. You showed me kindness when I was helpless. That tells me more about your character than anything else could." He held out his hand. "Come with me, Mira. Let me give you the chance that your old pack never did. The chance to discover who you really are and what you're truly capable of." I looked at his outstretched hand for a long moment. Every logical part of my brain screamed at me to refuse, to stay safe, to not trust anyone ever again. But there was another part of me, a small spark that hadn't been completely extinguished by Drake's rejection, that whispered maybe. Maybe this was my chance to become something more than the weak, forgettable girl who got rejected in front of her entire pack. Maybe I did have value, power, worth. I took Cale's hand. "Okay," I said. "I'll come with you." As we made our way slowly through the forest, Cale leaning on me for support, I didn't look back toward Shadow Peak territory. That chapter of my life was over. Drake had made his choice, and now I was making mine. I just had no idea that this decision would change everything. That in helping Cale, I'd set in motion a series of events that would eventually bring Drake crawling back to me, desperate and broken. But that's the thing about revenge. It's most satisfying when you're not even trying for it. When you simply become so successful, so powerful, so undeniably valuable that the person who rejected you finally realizes what they lost. And by then, it's far too late. Part 2, The Transformation, 2,000 words. Welcome to Moonshadow. The journey to Moonshadow Pack territory took 5 days. Cale's injuries slowed us down, but I didn't mind. Each day away from Shadow Peak felt like I could breathe a little easier, like the weight pressing on my chest was gradually lifting. Kale talked during our travels, telling me about his pack, about the alpha, about what life would be like there. He made it sound almost too good to be true, and I kept waiting for the catch, for the moment when everything would fall apart like it always did. Alpha Rowan is different from most pack leaders, Kale explained as we rested on the fourth day. He believes every pack member has value, regardless of their rank or bloodline. He judges people by their actions, not their status. Sounds too good to be real, I muttered. I thought the same thing when I joined 5 years ago, Kale admitted. I was a rogue then, no pack, no family. But Rowan saw potential in me and gave me a chance. Now I'm his beta. I looked at him with new respect. Going from rogue to beta was almost unheard of. It gave me a small flicker of hope that maybe, just maybe, I could find a place here too. When we finally crossed into Moonshadow territory, I was struck by how different it felt from Shadow Peak. The forest was lusher, greener, filled with the sounds of life. And the pack members we encountered didn't look at me with suspicion or contempt. They looked at Kale with concern, rushing to help him, and they looked at me with curiosity and gratitude. "You're the one who saved Beta Kale?" a young woman asked, her eyes wide. "I just helped," I said quietly, uncomfortable with the attention. "She's a moon healer," Kale announced, and the reaction was immediate. Gasps of surprise, excited whispers, looks of awe instead of the pity and disdain I was used to. "A moon healer?" An older man stepped forward, his eyes sharp but not unkind. "Are you certain, Beta?" I saw it myself, Elder Thomas. The golden light, the accelerated healing, everything matches the old stories. Alpha Rowan met us at the pack house, a large, welcoming structure built from stone and wood. He was younger than I expected, maybe 40, with silver-streaked black hair and warm brown eyes. When he looked at me, I didn't feel judged or found wanting. I felt seen. "Welcome to Moonshadow, Mira Stone," he said, his voice deep and genuine. "Kale has told me about you. We're honored to have you here." "Thank you, Alpha," I managed, bowing my head in respect. "None of that," he said gently. "Here, we bow to no one unless they earn it through their actions. Come, you must be exhausted. Let's get you settled, and then we'll talk about your gift. The training begins." They gave me a cottage on the edge of the pack territory. Small but comfortable, with a garden and a view of the mountains. It was more than I'd ever had in Shadow Peak, where I'd lived in a tiny cabin that barely had running water. "This is too much," I protested to Kale when he showed me the place. "It's what you deserve," he corrected. "And besides, moon healers need their own space. You'll be working with patients, studying healing techniques, developing your powers. You'll need privacy for all that." The next morning, I met Elder Miriam, the pack's chief healer. She was ancient, probably in her 80s, with snow-white hair and eyes that had seen everything. But when she smiled at me, I felt something I hadn't felt in weeks: safe. "So you're the moon healer everyone's talking about," she said, gesturing for me to sit at her work table. "Show me." "I don't really know how to control it," I admitted. "It just happened when I was healing Kale. I didn't mean to do it." "The best gifts often come when we're not trying," Miriam said. "Now, give me your hands." I held out my hands, and she placed hers on top of mine. "Close your eyes. Feel for the warmth inside you, the light that lives in your core. That's your healing power, your connection to the moon goddess. Find it." I did as she instructed, searching inside myself. At first, there was nothing but darkness and the lingering pain of my broken mate bond. But then I felt it, a small, warm glow deep in my chest, like an ember waiting to be fanned into flame. "I feel it," I whispered. "Good. Now bring it up, let it flow through your body and into your hands." It was harder than it sounded. The power wanted to stay hidden, wanted to remain dormant. But I coaxed it forward, bit by bit, until my hands began to glow with that same golden light I'd seen before. Miriam gasped with delight. "Beautiful. Oh, child, you're going to do amazing things. The rise of power. Training consumed the next 3 months. Every day, I worked with Miriam, learning to control my healing powers, to direct them, to strengthen them. And every day, I felt myself changing, growing, becoming something I'd never imagined I could be. The power didn't just affect my healing abilities. As I learned to channel the moon goddess's energy, my wolf grew stronger too. Luna, who had been so weak and broken after the rejection, began to emerge again, fiercer and more confident than before. "You're different," Kale observed one evening as we sat together watching the sunset. His injuries had healed completely, thanks in part to my continued treatments. "Stronger. More sure of yourself." "I feel different," I admitted. "Like I'm finally becoming who I was always meant to be." "Your old pack had no idea what they had," he said, and there was anger in his voice. "They threw away a treasure because they were too blind to see its value." I thought about Drake often during those months, though I tried not to. I wondered if he was happy with Celine, if he ever regretted his choice, if he ever thought about the girl he'd humiliated and thrown away. But those thoughts came less frequently as time passed, replaced by new purposes, new goals, new reasons to wake up each morning. I wasn't just training and healing. Alpha Rowan insisted I also learn to fight, to defend myself. "Power without the ability to protect it is just a target," he explained. So I trained with the pack warriors, learning combat techniques, building physical strength to match my growing spiritual power. The pack accepted me completely. Not as a charity case or a weak omega, but as a valued member. Children ran up to me on the street, excited to see the magic healer lady. Warriors sought my help for their injuries. Elders asked my advice on chronic ailments. For the first time in my life, I mattered. The news spreads. Word of Moonshadow's moon healer spread quickly through the wolf territories. Healers were always valuable, but moon healers were legendary. Packs from across the region began reaching out, asking for consultations, offering alliances, trying to establish friendly relationships. "You've made us quite popular," Alpha Rowan told me with an amused smile. "Every alpha within 500 miles wants to be our friend now." "I hope that's a good thing," I said nervously. "It's an excellent thing. We've always been a small pack, often overlooked by the larger territories. But now they have to respect us because we have something they need. You've given us leverage, Mira." I'd also caught the attention of several unmated males in the pack, though I wasn't ready for that. My mate bond with Drake was broken, but the scars it left behind were still healing. Kale was patient, never pushing, but I could see the way he looked at me sometimes, and I knew he was interested in more than friendship. "Give it time," Miriam advised when I confided in her. "Your heart has been through trauma. It needs time to heal, just like any other wound. Don't force yourself into anything before you're ready." But ready or not, life was about to force my hand. The curse strikes. The messenger arrived on a cold autumn morning, 6 months after I'd come to Moonshadow. He was from the Shadow Peak pack, though I didn't recognize him. Young, nervous, probably newly ranked. "I have an urgent message for the moon healer," he announced to the guards at the pack house. My blood went cold. I'd known this moment would come eventually, but I wasn't prepared for how it would make me feel. Anger, pain, bitter satisfaction, and underneath it all, a terrible curiosity about what could make my old pack reach out to me. Alpha Rowan called me to his office, where the messenger waited. Kale stood beside me, a silent support, his hand resting lightly on my shoulder. "Speak," Alpha Rowan commanded. The messenger bowed nervously. "The Shadow Peak pack requests the assistance of the moon healer. We've been struck by a curse, a dark magic plague that's killing our members. 5 have died already, and more are sick. Our own healers can't stop it. Only a moon healer has the power to break such a curse." A curse. My old pack was dying, and they needed me. The irony was almost too perfect. "Who sent you?" I asked, my voice steady despite the emotions churning inside me. "Alpha Drake Mitchell, my lady." He asked me to bring this letter to you personally. The messenger held out an envelope, and after a moment's hesitation, I took it. My hands were steady as I opened it and read Drake's words, written in his bold, confident handwriting. Mira. I know I have no right to ask anything of you. I know what I did was unforgivable. But my pack is dying. Children, elders, warriors, they're all falling to this curse. We've consulted every healer, every magical expert we could find. They all say the same thing, only a moon healer can break a curse this powerful. Please. I'm not asking for myself. I'm asking for innocent pack members who had nothing to do with our past. Come to Shadow Peak. Name your price. I'll pay anything, give you anything. Just please help us. Drake. I read the letter 3 times, each time feeling a different emotion. Anger at his audacity. Satisfaction at his desperation. And underneath it all, a complicated tangle of old feelings that I'd thought were dead. What do you want to do? Alpha Rowan asked gently. I don't know, I admitted. Part of me wants to refuse. Let them suffer the way they made me suffer. Let Drake feel helpless and powerless the way I did. That's understandable, Kale said. No one would blame you for turning them down. But even as he said it, I thought about the innocent pack members. The children I'd grown up with, the elders who'd always been kind to me, the few people who'd shown me small kindnesses when no one else had. But you're thinking about helping them anyway, Miriam said from the doorway. I hadn't heard her come in, but she was watching me with knowing eyes. I'm thinking about the people who don't deserve to die because their alpha is an idiot, I said. Alpha Rowan smiled slightly. You have a good heart, Mira. Too good, perhaps. But the choice is yours. If you want to go, I won't stop you. And I'll send warriors with you to ensure your safety. If she goes, I go, Kale said immediately. She won't face that place alone. I looked at the letter again, at Drake's desperate handwriting, at his promise to give me anything I wanted. I'll go, I said finally. But not for him. For the innocent people who are suffering. And I'll make sure Drake understands exactly what he threw away. The preparations. We left 2 days later. Me, Kale, and a guard of 10 warriors, all chosen by Alpha Rowan for their skill and loyalty. I wore new clothes, fine fabrics that marked me as someone important, not the shabby cast-offs I'd worn before. My hair, which I'd cut short after leaving Shadow Peak, had grown back longer and healthier. I looked different, felt different, was different. You're nervous, Kale observed as we traveled. I'm going back to the place that destroyed me, I said. Of course I'm nervous. You're not the same person who left, he reminded me. You're stronger now. Powerful. They can't hurt you anymore unless you let them. He was right, but that didn't stop the anxiety churning in my stomach. What would it feel like to see Drake again? To stand in front of the man who'd rejected me, who'd called me weak and worthless, and know that he needed me now? Part of me couldn't wait to find out. As we approached Shadow Peak territory, I felt Luna stir inside me, restless and angry. This was where she'd been broken. But it was also where we'd proved that breaking hadn't destroyed us. It had only made us stronger. The guards at the border recognized me immediately, their eyes widening in shock. Mira? Is that really you? It's me, I confirmed, my voice cool and professional. We're expected. Take us to Alpha Drake. They scrambled to obey, and as we walked through the packlands toward the Alpha's house, I saw faces I recognized. People who'd watched my humiliation, who'd whispered about me, who'd done nothing to defend me. Now they stared at me with awe and fear, at the warriors flanking me, at the confident way I carried myself. Let them stare, I thought. Let them see what they missed. What they threw away. The Alpha's house looked the same as I remembered, imposing and cold. But I wasn't the same frightened girl who'd walked away from here 6 months ago. I was Mira Stone, Moon Healer of Moonshadow Pack. And I was here to make Drake Mitchell face the biggest mistake of his life. Part 3, The Reckoning. The Confrontation. Drake was waiting for me in the main hall, and the sight of him hit me harder than I'd expected. He looked terrible. Dark circles under his eyes, his face drawn and haggard, his powerful frame diminished by stress and worry. He looked like a man who hadn't slept in weeks. Beside him stood Celine, and she looked even worse. Her beautiful red hair was dull and lifeless, her skin had a grayish tint, and she could barely stand without support. The curse had hit her too. Mira, Drake breathed when he saw me, and there was so much emotion in that one word. Relief, regret, hope, shame. You came. I came for the innocent people who are suffering, I said, keeping my voice cold and professional. Not for you. He flinched like I'd struck him. I understand. I deserve that and worse. You deserve far worse than that, Kale said from beside me, his voice hard. You rejected your fated mate and threw her away like garbage. If it were up to me, we'd turn around right now and let your pack rot. Kale, I said softly, touching his arm. He fell silent, but the anger in his eyes didn't fade. Show me the victims, I commanded Drake. I need to assess the situation before I decide if I can help. Drake led us to the pack hospital, a building I'd rarely entered during my time here. Inside, the sight that greeted me was heartbreaking. Dozens of pack members lay in beds, all showing signs of the curse. Black veins spreading across their skin, labored breathing, eyes that had lost their light. It started 3 months ago, Drake explained as I moved from bed to bed, examining patients. Just a few people at first. We thought it was a normal illness. But then more got sick, and the healers realized it was dark magic. A curse. Do you know who cast it? I asked, my hands glowing with golden light as I assessed a young child, maybe 7 years old. We have suspicions, Drake said grimly. There's a rogue witch who's been causing trouble in the region. We think she did this in revenge for something. I didn't ask what they'd done to earn a witch's curse. I focused on the patients, on understanding the magic that was killing them. It was complex, nasty work, designed to cause maximum suffering and resist normal healing attempts. But I wasn't a normal healer. I can break it, I said finally, straightening up. But it won't be easy. It'll take several days of intense work, and I'll need certain supplies. Relief flooded Drake's face. Anything you need, just name it. I'll get it for you. I'll give you a list, I said. Then I turned to face him fully. But before I start, we need to talk. Privately. The price of redemption. We met in Drake's office, the same room where he'd told me months ago that he was choosing someone else for his Luna. Kale wanted to come with me, but I shook my head. This was something I needed to do alone. Drake stood by the window, his back to me, his shoulders tense. I don't know where to start, he said quietly. How about you start with why, I said, crossing my arms. Why did you reject me? The real reason, not that garbage about me not being strong enough. He turned to face me, and I saw raw pain in his eyes. Political pressure. The Alpha Council wanted me to make a strong alliance with another pack. The Crimson Claw pack offered Celine, and they promised military support, trade agreements, territory expansion. So you sold me out for politics, I said flatly. I sold us both out, he corrected. I thought I was doing the right thing for the pack. I thought duty came before personal happiness. I thought, he stopped, running his hands through his hair. I thought I could learn to love Celine, that the mate bond with you was just physical attraction, nothing more. And was I right? The question came out before I could stop it. No. His voice broke on the word. God, Mira, I was so wrong. The bond with Celine is empty, meaningless. We can't stand each other. She's cruel and manipulative, and I realized too late that she never wanted me. She wanted the power of being Luna. She betrayed you, I guessed. Drake nodded miserably. She's been passing information to rival packs, undermining my authority, even stealing from the pack treasury. I found out 2 months ago. I was going to banish her, but then the curse hit, and, he gestured helplessly. And you couldn't banish your Luna while the pack was in crisis, I finished. It would look weak. Yes. I should have felt satisfaction at his admission. Should have reveled in the fact that his political marriage had been a disaster. But all I felt was tired. I've thought about you every day since you left, Drake continued, moving closer. Every single day, I've regretted what I did. I've missed you, missed your kindness, your laugh, the way you made me feel like I could be better than I was. Don't, I said sharply, holding up my hand. Don't you dare try to make this romantic. You didn't miss me, Drake. You missed the idea of me, the security of having a fated mate who actually loved you. But you didn't value it when you had it. You're right, he admitted. You're absolutely right. But Mira, please, if there's any chance. There's no chance, I interrupted. That door is closed. You made sure of that when you rejected me in front of the entire pack. I know I can't undo what I did, Drake said desperately. But maybe we could start over? Once the curse is broken, once things settle down, maybe? I don't want to start over with you, I said clearly. I don't want any kind of relationship with you beyond professional courtesy. You had your chance with me, and you threw it away. I'm not giving you another one. Pain flashed across his face, so raw and real that I almost felt bad for him. Almost. What can I do? He asked. What do you want from me? Name it, anything. The terms. I thought carefully before answering. I want several things. First, a public acknowledgement of what you did. I want you to stand in front of the pack and admit that you were wrong to reject me, that I was never weak or worthless. Done, Drake said immediately. I'll do it today if you want. Second, you'll pay reparations to Moonshadow Pack for housing and training me. A substantial amount that reflects the value of what you threw away. How much? Alpha Rowan will determine the amount. Whatever he asks, you'll pay without question. Drake nodded, his jaw tight but his eyes accepting. Third, I continued, you'll dissolve your alliance with the Crimson Claw Pack and publicly announce why. You'll tell everyone that Celine betrayed you, that she was working against the pack's interests. She needs to face consequences for her actions. That will cause problems with the Crimson Claw Pack, Drake warned. That's not my concern. You wanted a political alliance so badly that you destroyed our bond. Now you can deal with the political fallout of that choice. He was silent for a long moment, then nodded. Agreed. What else? That's it, I said. Meet those 3 conditions, and I'll break the curse and save your pack. And after? He asked quietly. After the curse is broken, will you stay? Will you give me any chance at all to prove I've changed? I looked at him, really looked at him, and saw the man I'd once loved. The man who'd made me laugh, who'd held me during thunderstorms, who'd promised me forever. But I also saw the man who'd broken those promises, who'd valued political power over the person the moon goddess had chosen for him. No, I said softly but firmly. I won't stay. Once the curse is broken, I'm going back to Moonshadow. That's my home now. Those are my people. And Kale, I paused, realizing the truth as I spoke it. Kale is the man who saw my value when you couldn't. He's the one who helped me become who I was meant to be. You love him, Drake said, and it wasn't a question. I think I'm starting to, I admitted. But even if I didn't, I still wouldn't choose you. Because I've learned something important over the past 6 months. I don't need a mate to complete me. I don't need a man to give me value. I have value on my own, and anyone who can't see that doesn't deserve me. The healing begins. I started working on breaking the curse the next day. It was exhausting work, requiring hours of concentration as I poured my healing energy into patient after patient, slowly unraveling the dark magic that was killing them. Kale stayed by my side the entire time, supporting me, bringing me food and water when I forgot to eat, catching me when exhaustion made me stumble. The Moonshadow warriors stood guard, making sure no one disturbed my work. Drake kept his first promise quickly. That evening, he called the entire pack together and made his public announcement. 6 months ago, I made the worst mistake of my life, he said, his voice carrying across the crowd. I rejected my fated mate, Mira Stone, because I thought she wasn't strong enough to be Luna. I was wrong. She was never weak. I was the weak one, too blind and stupid to see the treasure the moon goddess had given me. The crowd murmured in surprise. I stood at the back, Kale beside me, watching Drake's performance. Mira Stone is a moon healer, one of the rarest and most powerful wolves alive. She's currently saving our pack from a curse that would have killed us all. She's doing this despite the fact that we treated her terribly, that we cast her out and made her feel worthless. His voice cracked. I publicly apologized to Mira Stone and acknowledged that rejecting her was the greatest mistake I'll ever make. The crowd turned to look at me, and I saw shock, shame, and regret on many faces. People who'd watched my humiliation now had to face the fact that they'd been wrong. I nodded once, acknowledging Drake's apology, but I didn't smile or show any emotion. He'd done what I asked, but words were easy. Actions were what mattered. The truth about Celine. On the third day of healing, Celine confronted me. I was taking a break in the garden when she appeared, looking slightly better now that I'd started breaking the curse. Her color was returning, though the black veins still marked her skin. You must be feeling very satisfied, she said coldly. Actually, I'm just tired, I replied. Breaking a curse this powerful is exhausting work. I know what you're doing, she continued. You're trying to take Drake back. You want to be Luna. I laughed, genuinely amused. I don't want Drake, and I definitely don't want to be Luna of this pack. I'm here to save innocent lives, nothing more. I don't believe you. You're trying to steal my position. Your position? I stood up, facing her directly. You mean the position you got by lying and manipulating? The position you've been using to betray the pack and steal from them? That position? Her face went white. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, you do. Drake told me everything. How you've been passing information to rival packs, how you've been embezzling money, how you've been undermining his authority at every turn. You never wanted Drake. You just wanted power. So what if I did? Celine's mask slipped, revealing the cruel, calculating woman beneath. I'm an alpha's daughter. I deserve to be Luna, to have power and respect. What do you deserve? You're just a weak Omega who got lucky. I'm a moon healer who's currently saving your life, I pointed out. And unlike you, I earned my position through actual skill and hard work, not manipulation and lies. Drake will never really want you, Celine hissed. You're damaged goods. A rejected mate. Nobody wants someone so pathetic that even their fated mate threw them away. The words should have hurt. 6 months ago, they would have destroyed me. But now I just felt pity for her. You're right that I was rejected, I said calmly. But I'm not damaged. I'm stronger than I've ever been. I have a pack that values me, friends who support me, and a future full of possibilities. What do you have, Celine? A loveless bond with a man who hates you, a pack that's about to discover your betrayal, and a family who will disown you when the truth comes out. Her hand came up to slap me, but I caught her wrist easily. My training with the Moonshadow warriors had taught me more than just healing. Don't, I said quietly. You're not worth the trouble. I released her and walked away, leaving her standing there with impotent rage on her face. The breaking point. By the 5th day, I'd healed most of the pack. The curse was weakening as I systematically broke it person by person. But the work was taking its toll. I was exhausted, drained in a way I'd never experienced before. You need to rest, Kale insisted as I swayed on my feet after healing another patient. You're pushing yourself too hard. Just a few more, I said stubbornly. The children need to be healed. I can't let them suffer any longer. Mira. I'm fine. But even as I said it, darkness crept in at the edges of my vision. I took a step forward and my legs gave out. Kale caught me before I hit the ground, lifting me easily in his arms. That's it. You're done for today. The children will still be here tomorrow. Right now, you need food, water, and sleep. In that order. He carried me to the guest house where we were staying, ignoring my weak protests. Once inside, he laid me on the bed and brought me food and water, watching sternly until I'd consumed both. Thank you, I said quietly, feeling the exhaustion pulling at me. Always, he replied, brushing hair back from my face with a gentleness that made my heart ache. You're amazing, you know that? What you're doing for these people, after how they treated you. It's incredible. I'm not doing it for them. I'm doing it because it's right. I know. That's what makes you amazing. He hesitated, then continued. Mira, I need to tell you something. I know this isn't the best timing, but... Kale, don't. I knew what he was going to say, and I wasn't ready. Just listen. Please. He took my hand, his touch warm and solid. I know you were rejected. I know you're still healing from that. But I need you to know that I see you. Not as a moon healer, not as someone with valuable powers. I see you. The kind, brave, stubborn woman who would rather exhaust herself than let children suffer. The woman who makes me laugh and challenges me to be better. I see you, Mira, and I'm falling in love with you. Tears filled my eyes. Kale. You don't have to say anything back. I just needed you to know. When you're ready, if you're ever ready, I'll be here. But if you're not, if you need time or space or if you simply don't feel the same way, that's okay too. I'll still be your friend, still support you, still stand by your side. I don't deserve you, I whispered. You deserve everything good in this world, he corrected. And I'm hoping that someday, you'll let me be part of that. He left me alone to rest, and I lay there in the darkness, my heart full of emotions I didn't know how to process. Drake had rejected me because I wasn't enough. Kale wanted me because of who I was. The difference was everything. The final healing. On the 7th day, I healed the last patient. It was one of the children, a little girl with dark curls and big brown eyes who reminded me of myself at that age. Small, scared, trying to be brave. As the golden light flowed from my hands into her small body, I watched the black veins fade away, watched color return to her cheeks, watched life come back into her eyes. When it was done, she sat up and threw her arms around my neck. Thank you, she whispered. You saved me. You're welcome, sweetheart, I said, holding her close and fighting back tears. The pack gathered in the main square that evening to celebrate. The curse was broken, everyone was healing, and life could return to normal. They wanted to honor me, to thank me, to make speeches about my heroism. I stood on the platform beside Drake, accepting their gratitude with as much grace as I could manage. But all I could think about was leaving, going home to Moonshadow, putting this chapter behind me forever. Before we conclude, Drake said, his voice carrying across the crowd, I have an announcement to make. I tensed, wondering what he was about to say. As of today, I'm dissolving my bond with Celine Blackthorn and banishing her from the pack for her crimes against us. She betrayed our trust, stole from our treasury, and worked with our enemies. She is no longer welcome in Shadow Peak territory. Gasps and angry shouts erupted from the crowd. Celine stood in the back, her face twisted with rage and humiliation. You'll regret this, Drake, she screamed. My father will. Your father has already been informed of your crimes, Drake interrupted coldly. He's disowned you. You're alone now, Celine. Just like you left so many others alone with your betrayal. Guards escorted her away, still screaming threats and curses. I felt no satisfaction in her downfall, only a deep weariness. Additionally, Drake continued, I'm sending a substantial payment to the Moonshadow Pack as thanks for training and housing our moon healer. Alpha Rowan has named his price, and I've agreed to it without question. That was the second promise fulfilled. 2 out of 3. The goodbye. I prepared to leave the next morning. My work was done, and I was desperate to go home. The Moonshadow warriors packed up our supplies while Kale helped me gather my things. Drake appeared at the guest house as we were finishing. He looked better than he had when I'd arrived, the stress lines around his eyes less pronounced. But there was a sadness in him that I suspected would never fully go away. "You're really leaving," he said. "I told you I would." "I know. I just hoped." He trailed off, shaking his head. "Never mind. I don't have the right to hope for anything from you." "No, you don't," I agreed, but my voice was gentler than it had been before. "But Drake, for what it's worth, I hope you learn from this. I hope you become the alpha your pack deserves, one who values people for who they are, not what they can give you politically." "I will," he promised. "And Mira, I want you to know that I'll regret what I did to you for the rest of my life. You were the best thing that ever happened to me, and I was too stupid to see it." "I was the best thing that happened to you," I agreed. "But you weren't the best thing that happened to me. This was." I gestured around, encompassing everything that had happened. Being rejected forced me to leave, to find Moonshadow, to discover my powers, to become who I was always meant to be. If you hadn't rejected me, I would have spent my life being invisible, being small, never knowing my true potential. "So you're thanking me?" He smiled sadly. "No. I'm telling you that your worst mistake was the best thing that ever happened to me. And that's the greatest revenge I could ever have." Understanding dawned in his eyes. "You're happy. Truly happy." "I'm getting there," I said honestly. "And that happiness has nothing to do with you." We stood there for a moment, two people who'd been fated mates but were now just strangers. Then I turned and walked away, not looking back. Kale was waiting by the horses, a knowing smile on his face. "Ready to go home?" "More than ready." As we rode away from Shadow Peak territory, I felt the last chains of my old life fall away. I wasn't the rejected Omega anymore. I wasn't the girl who wasn't good enough. I was Mira Stone, Moon Healer, valuable member of the Moonshadow Pack, and a woman who knew her own worth. And when Kale reached over and took my hand as we rode, I didn't pull away. Epilogue, 1 year later. The mating ceremony was beautiful. Not the grand, political affair that Drake had tried to force me into, but a simple, heartfelt celebration with people who truly cared about me. Kale stood across from me, his eyes shining with love and pride, and when Alpha Rowan asked if we accepted our bond, we both said yes without hesitation. "I, Mira Stone, accept you, Kale Winters, as my chosen mate." "And I, Kale Winters, accept you, Mira Stone, as my chosen mate." Chosen. Not fated by the moon goddess, but chosen by our own hearts. It was better than any fated bond could have been because it was real, earned, built on mutual respect and love. The pack cheered as we kissed, and I felt my wolf, Luna, sing with joy inside me. This was right. This was home. Later, at the celebration feast, Elder Miriam found me. "You've come so far," she said, tears in her ancient eyes. "From a broken girl to a powerful healer to a Luna. I'm so proud of you." "I couldn't have done it without you," I told her, hugging her carefully. "Without all of you." "Oh, child. We just helped you see what was always there. You did the real work." Alpha Rowan stepped up to make a toast. "To Mira and Kale," he said, raising his glass. "May their bond be strong, their love be deep, and their future be bright." "To Mira and Kale," the pack echoed. I looked around at the faces gathered there. Moonshadow Pack members who'd accepted me from the first day. Warriors who'd trained with me and become friends. Children who I'd healed and who now looked at me with trust and affection. This was my family now. These were my people. And when Kale pulled me close, kissing my forehead and whispering that he loved me, I knew with absolute certainty that I'd made the right choice. Drake had rejected me because he thought I wasn't enough. But I'd always been enough. More than enough. I just needed to find people who could see it. The message. A month after the mating ceremony, a letter arrived from Shadow Peak. I almost didn't open it, not wanting to let any part of my old life intrude on my new happiness. But curiosity won out. Mira. I heard about your mating ceremony. Congratulations. I hope Kale knows how lucky he is. I'm writing to tell you that things are better here. I've restructured the pack leadership to value skill and character over bloodline. I've opened our borders to wolves who need refuge. I've tried to become the alpha you said I should be. It doesn't erase what I did to you. Nothing ever will. But I wanted you to know that your words changed me. You changed me. I hope you're happy. You deserve all the happiness in the world. Drake. I read the letter twice, then handed it to Kale. He read it silently, then looked at me. How do you feel? I feel nothing, I realized with surprise. No anger, no pain, no satisfaction. Just nothing. He's part of my past, and that's where he's going to stay. Good, Kale said, taking the letter and tossing it into the fireplace. We watched it burn together, the paper curling and blackening until it was nothing but ash. No looking back? He asked. No looking back, I agreed. Only forward. And forward was beautiful. I continued my healing work, saving lives, and training other healers. Kale and I built a life together, full of love and laughter and purpose. We had children eventually, twins who inherited both his strength and my healing abilities. I heard occasionally about Drake. He never took another mate, never remarried. Some said he was waiting, hoping I'd change my mind. Others said he was punishing himself for what he'd done. I hoped he found peace eventually. I really did. But his journey was his own, and mine had led me somewhere far better than I ever could have imagined. Because sometimes, the best revenge isn't revenge at all. Sometimes, the best revenge is simply living well. And I was living very, very well indeed. The end.